I'm seeing a lot of conservatives, a lot of Republicans, but mainly conservatives who are starting to second guess Donald Trump, which is fine. You can do whatever you want. I just need to ask you guys what it is that's making you do that. What is it that's got you worried about him? Because he hasn't changed anything. And I need you to consider the sources that are making you nervous. That's all I'm asking. I can't tell you what to do. I can't encourage you either way. I could just say, hey, why don't you do me a favor and look at why you're saying this? Where is this feeling deriving? And I'm willing to guess, I don't want to bet, but I'm willing to guess it is the nonstop investigations and the trouble that he seems to be getting in, and is the hassle worth getting this guy back in because it's going to cause more division, blah, 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 blah. Is that true? Or is that the plan? We've known since Bill Clinton that the left is better at politics than the right. The right has better policy, the left are better politicians. That's just what it is. It's always been what it is. And it's not going to stop anytime soon as long as these regular Republicans are in office. So I would highly recommend that you guys consider what it is that's causing you to have this pause and this push towards DeSantis. There's absolutely nothing wrong with DeSantis, and I think he's going to be the next president off of the Republican ticket. I truly do. I just don't think it's now. And the reason I don't think it's now is because they are, while they're smearing him, they're not attacking him. And they're not attacking him because he's not as big of a threat as the person they are really attacking. We had a sheriff from Texas say, I'm going to investigate. We had the Biden administration threaten DeSantis. But they're not doing to DeSantis what they're doing to Trump. And the reason is they're not as worried about him and they're not as scared of him. And that's the real signal to you that Trump is still the guy. And he's still the guy because everyone still hates him. And everyone still hates him because he's still the biggest threat to the Republican Party and the Democrat Party.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school.
If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
And you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
That's it. That's the bottom line. DeSantis is a much more polished politician, and he is an excellent choice for the conservative candidacy. But he's not Donald Trump, and he's not going to bring all of the Trump base with him. Only Trump can do that. Now, what DeSantis should do, and definitely could do, is run with Trump and then carry the mantle after Trump is gone. Because Trump only has one more term. I still want to caution everyone who say, I don't think Trump should be the guy. Look at his stance on vaccines, blah, 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 blah. That's his stance because that's his stance. A politician would change their stance. And that's the difference between what a Trump would do and a regular politician would do. He's saying, well, wait a minute, I created it. I'll take the responsibility for it. But what I'm not going to do is let somebody else take credit for it at one point and then trash me for it at another.
Let's just say there's a vaccine that is approved and even distributed before the election. Would you get it?
Well, I think that's going to be an issue for all of us.
If and when the vaccine comes. And it's not likely to go through all the tests that needs to be and the trials that are needed to be done. When we finally do, God willing, get a vaccine, who's going to take the shot? Who's going to take the shot? You can be the first one to say, sign me up. They now say it's okay. The CDC is saying they have concluded that fully vaccinated people are at a very, very low risk of getting COVID-19. Therefore, if you've been fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask. Let me repeat, if you are fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask.
We have just learned President Biden has been tested positive for COVID-19.
The president is, quote, fully vaccinated and double boosted and is being treated with the antiviral Paxlovid. He began taking it this morning. The president is 79, and from the White House today, Dr. Jha, the COVID response coordinator, offering reassuring words.
That's it. I mean, I don't see any other thing that they can get Trump on than smearing him for the very thing that they mandated for almost 2 years. So the left does not have the power to use that against Donald Trump. The right does. Now, the left is trying, but there are 2 years worth of video of them mandating and telling us how it must be done, and you can't even go to work.
The goal of these requirements is to increase the vaccination rate in the country. Right now, about 70% of adults are fully vaccinated, and that needs to be higher. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which is commonly referred to as OSHA, they laid out in detail the requirements for larger businesses to get their workers vaccinated. The most important part of that is that the deadline for vaccination is January 4th. So by December 4th, if you're not fully vaccinated, you have to wear a mask at work. And if you're not vaccinated by January 4th, then you have to be tested at least weekly for COVID. If a worker does not want to get vaccinated and chooses the weekly testing option instead, they may have to pay for that testing themselves.
They have no standing in that argument. The only people who do is the right. And the left is trying right now, when they put out these little articles about the vaccine and how it's on Trump, that's not them trying to sway the right. That's them trying to sway the right politicians. Hey, you guys can use this. We can't use it, we're hypocrites. You guys can use this and take Trump down. They're sending that to Republicans, people. They're not sending that to you, the conservative voter. They don't care about you. They just care about stopping him. And the way they stop him is by getting other candidates to come in and then bash him from the right. Listen to what I'm saying. They're better politicians than you. They're better politicians than me. They're better politicians than anyone running on the right. So they're helping the right. The same way they're funding these candidates that they think are going to lose because Trump has a toxic endorsement. If that's going to backfire, but it's still all to bash one man, not DeSantis, Trump. And they're making you worried about Trump based on what they want to happen in the Republican primary. They want to dictate to you who your candidate is. So if they were saying, if they were trying to destroy DeSantis like this, I would say, okay, maybe DeSantis is the guy. They're not. They're not. They're not saying it outright and overtly, you can't run this guy. They're doing it through their actions. Don't pay attention to their words. Their words are, Trump is the worst thing to ever happen to the country. He's divisive. He's the enemy of the state. He's a criminal. He's some kind of legal mastermind who just somehow always squeaks out of trouble. He's Hitler. He's everything negative that they can say, they're saying about Donald Trump. Now, they don't like DeSantis, but he's not the threat that Donald Trump is, and they know it. He doesn't have the national support. Now, it's growing for sure, and they don't like him for sure. But because he's not the threat that Donald Trump is, they're not focused on him like that. That's it. That alone should indicate to you to stay the course. And don't let the left pick your candidate, because that's what they're trying to do. I gave this example on a past video. When the Bears play the Buccaneers, I would absolutely love to be able to tell the Bucs that they can't use Tom Brady. I would love to be able to do that. Hey, you guys can't use Fournette. It doesn't work that way. Don't let the left pick your candidate. It makes no sense. It's never made sense, and it's always worked for them. They've always picked our candidates. They've called. Remember when McCain was picked? Why was he picked? Was he the strongest conservative candidate? Or was he picked because the left wanted him? They claimed that he was the maverick and he was a neutral voice, but they really wanted him in because they could beat him. That's it. Same thing happened with Romney. He's a good guy, and as soon as he gets the nomination, he's stupid, he's Hitler, he leaves dogs on vehicles, and he puts women in binders. It's what the left does. They're tricking you into picking DeSantis over Trump, because Trump is not the moral, mind you, moral, coming from the left. Trump is not the moral choice. They're picking your moral choice. Think about that. Just something to consider. The more they hate someone, the more you should want that person. Because them displaying that hate is trying to sway you into not having that person as your representative. And I would argue that's all the more reason to do it. That's it. That's my case against DeSantis right now. Not against DeSantis, period. Donald Trump deserves that 4 extra years to finish what he started. And he threw a cabal into their system, and they hated it. So much so that Lindsey Graham right now is also trying to sabotage it. Can somebody explain to me why we on the right, got a Supreme Court decision favorable to the states to decide what they're going to do on abortion? This is the one thing that the right has wanted since the 70s, since Roe v. Wade passed. Overturn it and allow the states to do it. Can somebody explain to me why Lindsey Graham right now would propose a federal anti-abortion law? Can somebody explain that to me? Right now, why would he do that just after a monumental Supreme Court decision to throw it back to the states? Why would someone like Lindsey Graham propose an abortion ban federally? If this isn't sabotage and snake, I almost cursed, snake stuff, I don't know what is. So he's trying to look ultra conservative when everyone knows he's the biggest rhino on the hill, and he's been the biggest rhino on the hill. So why would he propose something like that if it's not to sabotage the right? Why would you even bring that up? That's not an issue on the right anymore. Let the states decide. That's what we've wanted this whole time. We get it, and you propose something that you know is going to galvanize the left. You knew that was going to galvanize the left. Lindsey Graham is the biggest snake on the hill and on the right, supposedly on the right, because he purposely put out a legislation that has no chance. No one's gonna vote for it. It's not even going to be allowed on the floor. But he proposed it so that the left would get upset and galvanize their vote. Why would a Republican do that right now? Say he really believed that. Why now? Why right before the midterms would you do that? Who's going to benefit from that other than the left? Because abortion is not a top 5, and I don't think it's even a top 10 issue on the right. We got what we wanted. The Supreme Court decision that the right wanted happened. Give it back to the states. It's not a constitutional law. It's not something that the federal government should be involved in. And here he comes right behind this monumental decision and throws a monkey wrench in it. And what does he do? He makes the whole left mad again and say, see, we told you they were going to try to ban abortions. When all these years we were like, we're not trying to ban abortion, we're trying to give it back to the states. He did it on purpose to promote the left so he can keep the status quo. That's who Lindsey Graham is. He is the only Republican that I've seen who's arguing for assassinating Putin, who's arguing for war with Putin. Not China, Putin. He is a warmonger who wants to fight wars that we can win so he can launder money through these little countries like Ukraine. He's the biggest voice on the right for the Ukraine war. He's a lifelong Democrat who claims to be a Republican, and he is the epitome of a rhino. But why did I go off on this tangent? Because people like him want to sway who you select, because he didn't like Donald Trump. He condemned Trump for an insurrection that didn't happen, for an attempted insurrection that didn't happen. He blamed the president for it. And now here he is, Mr. Trump guy, but he's not. He's a snake. It's all pretend so he can keep his power. Now, he'll use Trump to keep getting reelected, but make no mistake about it, he's been against Trump since day one. He's condemned the man so many times, even when he didn't have to. Why would he have to do it publicly? It's who he is. It's what he does. Don't trust him. Don't trust anybody telling you who to select as your candidate.